Previously on Sailing Melody. After chest pain forced me off Ocean Melody and into a helicopter, Melissa and the babies were left ashore while Andy Darlington and Jack brought the boat safely back into Milford Haven. This episode picks up right where that story left off.
We're now safely in Milford Yacht Haven, which is amazing because they didn't have space for us. So when Andy Darlington and Jack were towed in by the RNLI, they were taken to a waiting pontoon in Pembroke Dock, and then we spoke to Milford Haven and they managed to squeeze us in. So time to kind of take restock. Time to restock? Is that the right word? Time to reflect on everything that happened, and fix everything that failed. She's an old boat, and unless we replace every single thing all in one go, there's going to be stuff that breaks. And you know, it was an amazing shakedown. It opened our eyes to some things that we weren't aware about. Yeah, so over the next few days, week or two probably, we'll be here. We're just going to get everything sorted, ready to get her back up to North Wales. She's also very salty, so my first job is to hose the decks down and get rid of all the salt from the swell that was out there and from being towed. Jack said that there was waves coming over the top of the cockpit enclosure, so not constantly, but they definitely got very wet. So the cockpit enclosure was a godsend. So I'm going to hose the decks. In the process, I'm going to have a look to see where this water's getting in the forepeak hatch. Now, when it rains, nothing comes in, but obviously the sheer force of the sea is causing it to fail somewhere. Because everything in the forepeak got soaked. Like our mattresses got soaked, all our clothes got soaked. I have done a ridiculous amount of washing. And a big wardrobe sort out actually meant I just got rid of lots of stuff. Yeah, so we need that to not happen again because it's just a massive pain in the arse. So that's job number one.
Milford Yacht Haven didn't have space for us initially, but being amazing, they managed to squeeze us in. After everything that had happened, it was the perfect place to catch our breath and to start sorting out a few little niggles before we set off again.
Like the water is coming up under the seal, so there's a big O-ring, square ring, but of rubber on the hatch when it closes down, and it looks like it's actually coming up and under the seal, which is I don't know if you can buy those or whether we can get an additional seal that goes around, but I need to investigate how to fix that issue, don't we? Yeah. The next job for me is washing. After I picked Andy up from hospital, we went back to my sister's, and she had a washing machine, and I managed to do about 6 loads of washing, 7 loads of blankets and all sorts of stuff that got covered in salt water and every single item of our clothing. But I've still got a few bags to do, so that's quite handy. While we're in Milford, they've got a really good laundrette, which I remember from last time, so I'm going to head up there and get some washing on.
Life afloat is rarely about one big drama. It's the small jobs that follow: washing salt off, tracking leaks, endless laundry. Milford gave us the chance to breathe and put Ocean Melody back together again.
Wow. Good morning, everybody. We're setting off from Milford Haven to go to North Wales. Don't know whether we'll stop at Fishguard on the way or not. I've got some help with me. I've got a guy called Vaughan from Nayland Yacht Club with me, only because other people weren't available this weekend and the weather's perfect this weekend. Quite frankly, I don't feel well enough to do this. It's not unsafe. I wouldn't be doing it if it was unsafe. But I just feel ropey and I just not inclined, but it's a perfect weather window, and I've got help available. Whereas next week, rubbish weather, and that would be more unsafe than doing it while you're feeling a little bit rough and rotten. So we're leaving Milford, and the plan is to go either round to Fishguard and anchor there for the night, and then get to North Wales tomorrow morning. But if we get out round Bishops and it's all looking good and the weather's fine and the sea state is good and the boat's on song, then we'll just press on through the night and we'll just suck it and see.
With the boat patched up and restocked, it was time to point her bow north. I still wasn't feeling myself, but with a good forecast and an extra hand from Neyland Yacht Club, we had the perfect window to bring her home.
So with that said, this is what the sea state is like. It's an absolute flaming mill pond. She says, nearly falling off the boat. Life jackets. Yeah, we're crossing St Bride's Bay. In the distance there is Jack Sound, which we didn't come through. We came round between the islands, and we're about to approach Ramsey Sound. Just got some running water in there. It's okay, you always get some running water. The tide should take us through now, and we're going to have fair tide with us for the next 6 hours now into the night. And I do think now, with the sea state like this, there's hardly a cloud in the sky. It's quite clear. It should be a nice bright night with plenty of moonlight, and it's not a busy, there's no busy shipping lanes up St George's Channel, really, not compared to the Bristol Channel. So I think we're just going to head straight up north. Now, what about me and recent events? Well, the recent chest pain episode I had has really shaken me up. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend winter building up my confidence again. I'm not saying it's like killed my confidence, but it shook me up. I feel like I need to get back on the bike. I'm not just going to, I'm not giving up sailing or anything like that. I'm going to spend a lot more time sailing out of Deganwy, as we've sort of said before, as we've alluded to, and increasing my comfort zone of sailing in slightly, increasingly gnarlier conditions. And Melissa wants to increase her ability to take charge of the boat single-handed. Even if I'm on the boat with her but doing nothing, offering no advice, no help, no assistance, as she's effectively solo single-handing, but with a safety net for the first few times, and then then she can start going out by herself in really flat conditions, just sort of to build up her ability. Because we were both sort of concerned that had I had that cardiac event and it had just been Melissa and Jack to take over the boat rather than Andy and Jack, so she needs to build up her skill level and ability to be in charge of the boat if I'm incapacitated, and I need to build up my confidence again, having had a shock to the system. There's Jack. We've got a gentleman with us from Neyland Yacht Club who's kindly offered to come with us on this passage. So Melissa and Ollie and Alaska have gone by car, because even if they came with us, we'd then have to either hire a car or get a train back down to fetch the car. So it's just me, Jack and Vaughan doing this very flat, boring motor to get the boat back up there, which is exactly what I need. Get back out on the water in very, very easy conditions. But thanks so much to Vaughan for helping us out, and thanks to Neyland Club generally, because the word went round that we were looking to get the boat back, and I'm still not recovered at all from this thing that I had, this pericarditis. So because I'm not great, I'm not 100% firing on all cylinders, it's nice to have that extra pair of hands, isn't it? So thank you very much to Vaughan, thank you to Neyland Yacht Club.
One thing I've always said about mountains is that I've learned the most on the summits I never reached, and I think the same applies to the last voyage. I didn't finish it, I had to step off the boat before the journey was done, but that's where the real lessons are. So this passage wasn't about testing the boat or testing myself, it was about space to think and to work out what I'd actually learned, because it's not just about whether I can cope, it's about the story I tell myself about who I am when things don't go to plan, and that's the part I get to choose. I can look back and see failure, or I can see the point where I grew tougher, wiser and more ready for whatever comes next.
There is absolutely no wind whatsoever, no drama, unlike last time, and this is just gorgeous. It's really, really nice. The sea is so flat. I mean, I could go kayaking off the bat. I mean, I won't, but could. I think you need to scrub the nail brush. If only sailing was always this simple. But to be honest, it'd get boring if it was. Still.
Well, it's 10:30 at night. I'm on watch. Tide is now against us. We've had fair tide with us for several hours. The tide's turned now, so we're punching a bit now. So our speed has dropped down now to just under 4 knots, about 4 knots actually, which is a bit irritating, but you know, that's the sea, ain't it? We should reach Bardsey Island around about 6 o'clock in the morning, I would guess, something like that. Maybe a bit later, and then hopefully we'll have enough tide with us then to carry us up and through Carnarvon Bar. If not, then we can. There are places that we can go to wait for the tide to be right across the bar. I just wish we got enough wind to sail rather than just have to motor.
By morning, it felt good to be back in the rhythm of the passage. Nothing dramatic, just steady miles north, exactly what we needed.
Good morning. Another day, another dawn. There is Bardsey Island on the bow. We've made slow progress overnight because the tide running against us. Good grief, we had 3.5 knots of tide against us for a good while in the middle, the middle 2 hours of the tide. Just an uneventful night passage. I'm going to be going off watch again in it, half an hour, 40 minutes. Get my head down for another 3 hours. And then we've just got the final leg to do along the top of the peninsula, the thin peninsula, to reach Carnarvon Bar. That's what the underside of the dinghy is like, having been in the water, because we've been using it periodically and then it's been sat in the water next to the boat from time to time. I have given it a bit of a clean, so it was worse than that, believe it or not. That right there is Bardsey Island, and this is Penthin, or the thin peninsula, and that's a lobster pot, which we don't want to hit. Right, come on up. Hiya. We're just on the approach now to Fort Bellon, the pinch point at the end of the Meni Straits. We got the sighting compass out and we were just going through with Jack, or Vaughan was, how to take sightings. So you can triangulate on a paper chart. But one thing we've noticed is when Jack puts the sighting compass up to his eye, there's 20 degrees of deviation. Because of the cochlear implants have got magnets in his head, the compass is off. And when he sits here next to the fluxgate compass,
With my processors on.
with the processors on, the compass turns one direction, and with his processors turned off, the compass turns the other direction. So that is something we're going to have to do an entire YouTube episode on, I think, in the future, about Jack needs a human deviation chart. You're a deviant, Jack.
I'm a deviant.
You're a human deviant.
There's Anglesey over there, the Isle of Anglesey. And we are currently just in the Bellon Narrows. That's Fort Bellon over there.
As you can see, we made it through Carnarvon Bar and across Bellon Narrows quite nicely. However, the tide is ripping out, 5 or 6 knots. We're at full throttle. We're doing 1 knot, if that, sometimes less than 1 knot. The lock gates close in 9 minutes, and it's there. It's just there. So we're going to get there and we're going to see how much water there is over the sill, because I really don't want the embarrassment of getting stuck on the sill. Kind of touched the sill once ages ago. If there's not enough water, there's 2 waiting buoys that we can go on, and we'll wait a few hours until the water turns around and decides to come back this direction, and then we'll go in on the next tide. But if we can get in, they have got a berth for us. There's Vaughan. We missed the gate by like 2 minutes. It's just the way it goes. The tide coming out through the Straits is just so brutal. We were coming up here at 1 knot and less. So we're here, and we're on that pickup buoy. Can you see there just how fast the tide is pushing out over the pickup buoy? So we're on there, and about 9:15 tonight, I think they open the gate again. So we'll put the dinghy in the water, and there's a building over there that's got a white front. It's known as the Anglesey Arms, and I gather they sell something called beer, so we'll probably go and partake, I think.
After a long, steady passage, Ocean Melody was back in North Wales. This wasn't the end of the journey, it was a reset. Sailing has always tested us, but this time it forced us to rethink our limits, our skills, and how we prepare for whatever comes next. Stick with us, because the next chapter of Melody's story is just beginning.